Good evening, Canterbury. I'm Mike Yardley. Welcome to NewsMakers, where we debate the week's issues through Canterbury eyes. Joining us on the panel, Waimakariri mayoral candidate Joe Kane, from Canterbury University law teacher David Round, sporting facial friends, and from Women's Financial Strategies, Sheryl Sutherland. Very good to see you all.
Great to be here, Mike.
Tuesday's college versus school rugby game earned national news attention as we watched and waited how the blanket ban on booze would shake down. And it may have been a sledgehammer approach to the sideline thuggery of recent years, but was the zero alcohol mandatory breath testing regime a runaway success? Joe?
Yes and no. It's very indecisive. I actually thought this was a really sad indictment on where we've come in society about our sophisticated drinking. Although I really respect the rights of the college, of the school, to have whatever rules they like, I think it sends a wrong message. Here are our two prestigious schools having to send 25 policemen to control crowd behaviour. And I don't think it augurs well at all. And there's plenty of rugby matches held every weekend at schools around the country, and so why is this so out of kilter? So yes, I did think it was a sledgehammer approach. I was really concerned that suddenly we can deploy police at a school when people struggle to get a policeman on crime, on burglaries, on those sorts of things. So yeah, I don't think it's really good on our prevalence on drinking, the way we're going around approaching it by saying you won't get in if you have. I think it's just the wrong message. So good result in the end, but if that's the way we're going to do it, well, you and I won't be having a drink at Lancaster Park next week.
Well, you wonder if that is next. Do you think this is where this could be heading, where alcohol is prized away from sport?
Well, I don't know about alcohol being prized away from sport, but the issue for me, I think, between the two schools is it's totally inappropriate to have a force of police there organising breath testing and what have you. It ought to be under the school's domain and the school's patrol. The interesting thing also is Christchurch boys recently set themselves up, or some of the boys set up a security team for policing after school balls. So if they can do that sort of thing, surely to goodness they can police their own game. And as Joe says, games are played all around the nation without drunkenness and loutish behaviour. And what really annoys me is my democratic right to have a glass of wine before I go and watch a football game, as if I'm ever going to do that.
Yes. Watch
the game, I mean, not drink the wine, obviously. I'm certainly going to do that. It's going to be taken away from me because of some idiots who can't handle their liquor. They need to practice more, maybe.
The Hospitality Association are adamant this was a victory for wowserism. Are they right?
Well, gosh, I don't. It certainly shows that we are as unsophisticated a pack of drinkers as ever we are, and that the links, the marriage between sport and booze, which has been pernicious for a long time, is really getting out of hand. And from that point of view, I am actually glad that it was done. On the other hand, if we're going to, what's next? Prohibition? We can't prohibit alcohol. But the experiment with trying to make us more sophisticated just by letting us be free has clearly failed.
Joe, wearing your health board hat here, obviously there are a lot of health campaigners who believe alcohol's tentacles around sport is very similar to how the tobacco industry cornered sport in decades gone by. Is there a similar movement underway to get the alcohol out of primetime sport, and do you think it's going to work?
It's not only about primetime sport. I mean, one of the things that on health that really concerned me when we were spending the attention on smoking, and was we got these reports just from Christchurch and what was actually happening around our city at night time and drinking, rapes, abuse, assaults, all that sort of going home, people going home, and the abuse of alcohol. And I think this is why I opened up. I think it's a sad indictment on where we've come with the acceptance of alcohol everywhere, that you can't do without it, can't do with it. And I think the health dollars that go around, the spend on alcohol, are huge,
Yeah.
are just huge. And look at our EDs. And so it is a focus for the Health Board at the moment, is because, you know, I always said you don't light up a cigarette and turn around and biff your wife, but there's plenty of people that are putting that down their neck and are doing exactly that.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
yeah, I think it needs some serious attention.
Quick comment, David?
I agree.
Yeah.
2 assaults a night in the emergency department on average.
Yeah.
Dreadful.
Yeah.
Incomprehensible.
Although, is it also incomprehensible that apparently a lot of these staff attacks are not even reported to the police?
Well, but why would you? Look at the time that it takes to fill in the form. Are you going to get one there or what have I mean, yeah, it is really interesting. I think society's acceptance everywhere of alcohol. So we go back to the sport question.
Yeah.
Is we've actually gone too far. Think about your supermarkets now. It's all lined up along with the bread and how you can get it. I mean, we've gone a little bit too far.
Another alcohol-related issue: naming and shaming convicted drink drivers. The press are back in the business on this one with the monthly roll call of shame. Do you think it serves as any deterrent at all to stop people tanking up and getting behind the wheel?
I think it's extremely unlikely, because when you're tanked up, you certainly aren't coherent and rational. You're not going to stop and think, oh, in a few months' time, if I drink and drive and I get caught, my name might be in the paper. I saw there was some willy-washy notion or comment in the paper this morning saying that the drunk driver's name being published would be cause opprobrium from peers and family and what have you. What absolute rubbish. It's just going to be brushed under the carpet and today's fish and chips.
To be honest, I would rather like to know who are the burglars in my neighbourhood.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, I agree with Sheryl here. When this first started, I did spend several minutes looking through to see if there was anyone I knew, but I don't bother. Don't bother looking now. For me, the real deterrent for me would be losing my licence. I must say, and if my ever name, which heaven forfend, were ever to be there, I would simply explain it away by saying, "Oh, just one drink over, tiny miscalculation." Unless they give the amounts, I don't see there's a huge amount of opprobrium there. I would like also to see photographs of the burglars.
Is it just the Women's Weekly aspect to this, you know, the checking out who got in trouble that fascinates us?
Well, I must admit, I do the same. I actually look through it to see who I know.
Really?
And always have thought that there's a difference between Joe Bloggs and, say, Joe Kane. You know, if I got caught, I wouldn't be on the little plane, it'd be on the front page.
Exactly.
So I think you actually have to weigh that suddenly the consequence of Joe Bloggs as opposed to Joe Kane. I'm a bit like you. I actually thought the real crime, the real stuff, where are the sexual abuse, where are these people hiding out, rather than, that might be the first and only time, which occasionally happens, of someone elderly that actually does have that tipple and their name's in the paper. So, yeah, I'm mixed on that one.
Coming
I
up,
think if people are drinking and driving, they should lose their licence.
Absolutely.
Instantly.
First time, that's it.
Yep. All right. Coming up, the Gillard Revolution, and also we'll have a look at mayoral matters at home. Do stay with us.